In a quiet village nestled among the rolling hills, there lived a young man named Rayen. To the villagers, he seemed like any other man. He worked hard, spoke kindly, and kept to himself. But inside Rayen's mind, a storm never ceased. He thought endlessly about yesterday's failures, tomorrow's expectations, the things he could not change, and the things he might never understand. At night, his thoughts wrestled with one another until he collapsed from exhaustion. Peace, for Rayen, was like chasing mist. The more he ran after it, the more it slipped through his fingers. One evening, after a particularly troubling day, Rayen sat on a rock near the village's riverbank, his head in his hands. An old man approached and sat beside him. "You look like someone who has traveled miles, yet you haven't moved an inch," the old man said. Rayen forced a smile. "My mind travels even when my feet don't." The old man nodded. "Then perhaps it's time your soul took the journey instead." "What journey?" "To see Master Rayen, the one who lives on the mountain. They say he helps people find what they've lost inside themselves." Rayen looked toward the distant peaks. "What if I go and I return the same?" The old man patted his shoulder. "Then at least you'll return with the answer your heart is longing for." The very next morning, Rayen packed a small bag, some bread, dried fruits, and a bottle of water. He left behind no goodbyes, only a note for his sister that read, "I've gone to silence the storm." The journey to the mountain was not short. He crossed streams, muddy paths, and dense woods. He spent cold nights beneath the stars and hot days walking under the sun. But through it all, the thought of Master Rayen kept him going. One afternoon, as he climbed a steep path, Rayen slipped on a loose rock and bruised his leg. Frustrated, he shouted into the wind, "Why is peace so hard to find?" A shepherd nearby overheard him and said, "Maybe because it's not something you find. Maybe it's something you stop running from." The words struck Rayen like lightning. He nodded silently and kept moving. After 5 days, Rayen finally reached the mountaintop. There, nestled between clouds and pine trees, stood a humble hut surrounded by silence. No guards, no followers, just calm. Rayen approached the entrance and found an old man sitting on a mat, eyes closed, back straight, unmoved by the world. "Are you Master Rayen?" Rayen asked softly. The man opened his eyes and smiled. "And who are you that seeks what cannot be held?" "My name is Rayen. I've come because my mind is restless. I want peace. I want silence inside me." Rayen stood and gestured for Rayen to follow him. "I do not give peace, Rayen. I only guide people to what they've had all along, but forgot how to see." Rayen led Rayen to a stone courtyard behind the hut. In the center stood a large basin filled with water. Next to it, a small, empty bowl sat on a table. Rayen handed Rayen a wooden ladle. "Empty the basin into the bowl," he instructed. Rayen looked at the 2 vessels and frowned. "The bowl is too small. This basin could fill 10 of them. Yet this is your task." Rayen began scooping water into the small bowl, then pouring it out, then scooping again. For hours, he continued, slowly, carefully, not spilling a drop. But the basin never seemed to empty. Instead, it looked fuller with every scoop. Frustration grew. His back ached. His thoughts raged. "This is pointless," he thought. He turned to Rayen. "This task is impossible." Rayen walked over and placed his hand gently on Rayen's shoulder. "It is, if your mind is full of what-ifs and hows. The same way you cannot empty a full basin into a small bowl, you cannot find peace with a mind full of chaos." Rayen looked at him, puzzled. "Then what should I do?" "Empty your mind first, then the basin will follow." That night, Rayen sat alone in his small guest hut, staring at the stars. The mountain air was still, yet his heart stirred with memories, some sharp with regret, others heavy with longing. He remembered every wrong turn, every goodbye that broke him, and all the futures he once feared. And slowly, with trembling lips and a quivering heart, he whispered to the sky, "I let go." Not just the words, but the weight behind them. He whispered again, softer this time, "I let go." Of the pain, of the expectations, of the constant need to control. He repeated it, like a sacred chant, not to the stars, but to himself. And somewhere between the whispered surrender and the tears drying on his cheeks, sleep came, not as an escape, but as a gentle gift. The next morning, with a calm heart and a clear mind, he returned to the courtyard. He didn't rush, he didn't force, he simply breathed. He scooped, he moved, one ladle at a time, present, peaceful, and patient. And then it happened. The water, once stubborn, now flowed effortlessly. What had once felt like an impossible task was now complete, with no struggle, no strain. He turned to Master Arav, eyes shining not just with surprise, but with something deeper. Peace. "It worked," he whispered. Arav smiled, his eyes kind. "Not because the basin changed, Rayen, but because you did. You stopped fighting yourself." Rayen nodded slowly. And for the first time in his life, he didn't feel like he had to chase peace. He had become it. Years later, people from far and wide would journey to a quiet home at the base of the mountain, not to seek the Zen master, but a man named Rayen, who taught not with books or sermons, but with silence, simplicity, and the stillness of a filled basin now empty. And whenever someone asked him the secret to inner peace, he would smile gently and say, "Empty your mind, and the rest will follow." And they would begin, just as he once did. Moral of the story: true peace cannot be chased, nor can it be given. It is born when we empty the noise in our minds, let go of our attachments, and learn to live fully in the present moment. When we help others do the same, peace becomes not just a destination, but a way of life. The end.